Hello, Culture Matters podcast. I am so excited to introduce you to our guest. Before I do that, here's a quote just for this episode. I will not be triumphed over. Cleopatra, our guest today, a true leader of not only her flock, her kin, her family, her customers, but someone that actually has been a huge support and one of our closest relationships here at Culture Matters from the very beginning of starting the idea, the brand. They supported me and gave me opportunity. They've been in the business that they're in for over 30 years of experience. It basically grew up in the business, almost probably out of the womb. They started, they run they're the CEO, president of Rockstar Closers. They're in the real estate business, in the title business. You may not, well, after the end of this episode, you're going to know what that is, but you may not realize how important that is in the process of the real estate transaction. And I've had the blessing over the years of spending time with their family and um, built a great friendship with one of their children who you'll listen to soon on the Culture Matters podcast, Nicole, Malcolm, the rock star of closers, rock star family of closers. Thanks for coming on the show. This is very exciting.
Thanks for having me.
I have to ask, did you have, how kids have pictures on their bedroom wall of castles and cars and things where how do you I couldn't imagine did you have pictures of the title process around your crib like did you always want to do this or was it something that kind of just happened what's the genesis of your story in this business.
So I grew up around real estate and mortgage. My parents were both in the business, and I just transitioned from mortgage closing to title, and that's where I found my niche and went from there. Just loved it and excelled at it, was good at it, and then passed the gene on to the children.
Now you both were both your parents in one specific vertical of real estate like mortgage or sales, real estate sales or title, or
So
which
they
one?
they both were in real estate and then went and transitioned into mortgage, and they both ended their careers and retired out of mortgage. Um,
Wow.
though my mother did work for me in the latter part of her career. She wanted to do something a little bit less stressful, and
Hmm.
I give props to people in the mortgage industry because I feel that they have it, the hardest out of all of the different avenues of business that relates to real estate. I think their position is the most stressful.
Hmm.
Not saying that, we all have our stress in every aspect of our business, but I have a lot of respect for people in the mortgage business.
Do you remember young the conversations around mortgage or like the time? Because there's different what cycles of the business. Well, I'm thinking like in there at one point rates were like 18%, weren't they, or 17% or some crazy astronomical. But that was normal then. Do you remember back then? Any
Um,
memories?
no, not really. I mean, my parents do, of course. I was still quite small, I think, when that was occurring, but when I got into the business working, it wasn't quite that high.
Was it a good time to get in the business, or was it a tougher time?
When I got into the title business, it
Just
was
even
actually
mortgage, just even
um
back then.
I don't know if I could answer that because I was working for the mortgage, companies, and
What were you doing? Like, what was your, yeah, what was your responsibility back then in the very beginning?
I did the closing. I worked in the closing department where we prepared the packages for closing. Um, I mean, it was busy. It was busy then.
Is there anything, do you think there are things that you picked up then early in your career that have influenced your leadership today
Oh,
with
definitely,
what,
definitely.
what do you think?
Um, well, I did work under my mom, So I was able, not just as a kid, I was able to see, but as an employee of hers, I saw the way that she conducted herself, the way that her employees worked under her, and I had a lot of respect for her as a boss, and the way that she managed herself, and her employees really loved and respected her, even to this
Really?
day. You know, she has Facebook, and once in a while she'll talk to some of her old employees. And she was very loved. So I tried to emulate
Wow.
the best that I could to be similar to how she conducted herself.
Yeah, what do you think some of her core values were back then? Like, even if they weren't written on the wall, that could have influenced the rock stars.
I think she always was fair. She always tried to be fair to people. And she tried to listen to people and not just, be a dictator, but she was a leader.
Wow.
She wasn't just a manager. She led people, she helped people. So seeing that, I tried to do the same, when I can.
Did you aspire to start your own business young?
Yes. Even as a kid, I always was entrepreneurial, selling water on the corner, making,
Wow.
$10 on one cup of water. And I don't know how I did that, but I did.
Wow.
I always look for ways to make money, do a business, for as long as I can remember. So, um, yeah,
Did they support that vision? Because even I'm thinking like in the, to be a woman and be entrepreneurial, but even entrepreneurs, weren't that cool until the last, what, 2 decades or so?
yeah.
Did you have support young and people believing? Like,
When
yeah,
you say they, you mean like my family?
family,
Oh
friends.
yeah, yeah, 100%. And I've done like different things over the years, to try to supplement income, growing up and
Yeah.
having my kids young. That was, a tough cycle of life, but we got through it. We did it. But there was always ways to find ways and avenues to make money.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you think those tougher times helped you because you've been through the Great Recession
Hmm.
and in the last, what, 2022, things were different than 2020, 2021, or was it 22 or 23? Things shifted in the mortgage and the real estate. Did those tougher times help you get through, you think, in hindsight?
Definitely, definitely, because when you go through hard times, that's when you learn. That's when you grow. When things are easy, it's a lot harder to expand and grow when things are easy. Um, I find my best years, although very difficult,
Hmm.
or when I was having a hard time, making ends meet and um, unsure of life, you know.
Why is title important?
That's a loaded question, Jay. um, title
Ready, fire, aim.
title is very important because we do see throughout the year, people buy houses. Like we just had one couple that purchased a house at sheriff's sale. They
Hmm.
chose not to get a title search, so they weren't sure what they were facing when they purchased the property. Come to find out, there was inheritance tax that needed to be dealt with. Had they done their due diligence, got their title search, and bought title insurance, they could have alleviated some headache, and addressed some issues that could have been easily remedied. Um, we had another issue where a couple years ago, someone decided to buy $1 million property. It was new construction, and they said, "We don't need title insurance." So they paid a few $100, got the search, signed a
Wow.
waiver. Come to find out that, the tax parcel was not separated properly And the legal description, there was issues with that. Um, so they were kind of on their own because title insurance protects the person up till the day of closing. So anything from today beyond, going back, we're going to research, we're going to insure. So had they purchased title insurance, they would have had some legal backing to fight for them. So there's so much value. And a lot of times people discount, what's title insurance, you don't need it. Well, you don't need it until you need it, right?
Mm. What are some of the rationalizations people come up with to not invest in that? There's got to
Um,
be like similar false narratives or something, rationalization.
yeah. I think there's some falsehoods out on the internet about title insurance. It depends on what they look at, but I think majority of what you will find on legitimate websites and in speaking to people in our profession and related professions is that there's a lot of value. There is a lot of value to title insurance. Um, just it protects you.
Yeah, I think of like, what's the value of life insurance? I don't know it until somebody needs it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And a lot of people, when they get their mortgage, most people get mortgages when they purchase properties and they're required to get title insurance. So, more times than not, they're protected. It's the people that are buying cash, that have the option to not get the title insurance. Most majority of the people do.
Do you
Um,
find that the investors are the ones that are less likely or more likely versus residential buyers that are paying cash? I'm curious of that. Like,
no, I think the investors know the value because if they're if they're um, true investors where they're doing this for a living, um, they totally, I'm sure, have come across things that, oh wow, I'm glad I had that title insurance policy.
hmm. How about when the market is going haywire and there's a high bidding up of home prices? Do people are they less likely or more likely to do that? I guess that would be the cash people.
Yeah, I don't know that that has any impact.
Doesn't.
I don't think so.
It's more of just a lack of experience or some kind of bias.
Lack of experience, I've seen, and
So those that borrow to buy their home, which is most people getting like a mortgage,
mhm,
you're going to have a relationship with you're going to be, a title is going to be a part of that.
yeah.
What are some of the factors that makes a great, I guess, closer, a great closer? Are there certain attributes or personality, not personality type, but yeah, certain type of person that's going to do that the best? Or
I mean, I always like to go back on um, the fact that you're only, let me think about this for a second. Um, I think you have to think outside the box, you know? And I believe that's what makes us different than the next guy is that, we're not going to say no. We're going to say, let me try to figure this out. Let's
Hmm.
get a resolution for this. Where I've seen a lot of other companies just say no, and that that doesn't work for me, and not just with my business, just in general. Like, don't tell me no. Try to figure it out,
Yeah.
and exhaust every single avenue. You know,
Hmm. How important is the research element?
the research element of
Uh,
title.
yeah.
I mean, so that's basically what we do. We're investigating, a property. We're researching all the way back 40 to 60 years of a property's chain of title. So that's what we do. That's in a core. That's what we do.
So like if we buy a property and it's not, there's something wrong with the title, it may not go through. The transaction may not go through.
That's always a possibility. However, it's our job to, you know, look at the
Or it
big
could come true,
picture.
but there's ramifications that I wasn't ready for. If
Well,
there's
so, you could have, God bless you, you could
Thank
have
you.
a situation on a title that a lack of experience would cause you to say, we can't close this. However, when you are working with a title company that has the experience and the know-how and the way, there's ways to do things to minimize your risk. I mean, you always have your underwriter to go back on to ask questions. A lot of people don't do that. People, meaning other title companies, they don't. They don't go that extra mile. So we pride ourselves in trying to find a way to get things done. And there's nothing more satisfying than hearing another title company won't close this. Can you help me? And then I look at it and I say, yeah, why would they not want to, well, they just didn't do the research, or they just didn't have the experience to know how to get it done.
So maybe they could sell it, but they could sell somebody on getting the business, but not necessarily be able to fulfill it.
Yeah.
Like the relationships that people have cultivated over the years. So there's a sales aspect, a research and execution aspect.
Yeah. Like we have a
How do you balance?
tagline.
Or
We have
go
a
ahead.
tagline, title experience matters.
Oh, amen. Yeah, I guess so. How do people get in the title business? Is it rare to be in it? Because it seems like there was some influence from your parents in mortgage, but you ended up in title. How do most people get in the business?
So there's no schooling that you could go to. It's really just, I guess you could say, like finding your niche, finding, starting at a title company, just going in, being hands-on. And that's how I did. That's what I did. I went to work for a title company, loved it, realized this is what I want. This is what I
What
want
did you
to do.
love?
What's that?
What did you love?
I just loved the whole aspect of um research, like being the FBI and being the
Yeah.
FBI of title. Um,
Hey, is that Tom?
that's
Get
Tom.
over here.
What
Man, you're on a podcast. Everyone listening to this, Tom Malcolm
you're
is
live?
here. Yeah, we're live.
Oh,
Come in
sorry.
here. This is the
It just looks like
culture.
a Zoom call.
What it is. Yeah. So everyone listening, Tom and I used to fly around Pennsylvania in the Beamer making hot calls. And man, I can't wait to have you on the show. You're coming on. You don't have a choice. So for everyone listening to this, go check out Tom Malcolm's episode on the Culture Matters podcast. It's a good plug. Yeah, we're closing them, Tom.
It's good to see you, though. We'll have to get together.
It's good to see you. I mean, actually, in that, do you ever think about what like what goes through your mind at the end of the day, knowing that your kid you work with your family, like what's that like? Because yeah, at one point you said earlier you had some kids young, so what's it like to look back after these years? Tom's what you said 25 now, and
Mhm.
everyone's working together towards this mission, this Rockstar closers. What's that like?
It's super rewarding, to watch your children do what you love and also see that they love it as well. There's nothing better than that from a work aspect. And to come to work every day, knowing that I'm going to see my kids, has always been something that means so much to me.
What's Tom taught you since he got in the business?
Well, how long you got?
Plenty of time.
Um,
We'll get to what you've taught him too.
he uh he is a 25-year-old in a well, you're a little older, 45-year-old man's body mindset. He's well
Wow.
beyond his years with the things that comes out of his mouth. Um, he's definitely less emotional than me. So that helps kind of ground me because, where I'm like, "Whoa," he's more like chill. Think of it from a logical, more
Hmm.
practical perspective, which has really helped our company grow, and especially in the employee setting. Tom has definitely taken the lead, where I have been able to lean back and just let everything flow, and it's been quite the blessing. He's gotten things into place that, we all have our strengths and we all have our weaknesses. I'm not good at certain things, but I'm really good at other things. The things that I'm not very good at, he's very good at. And the things that I'm not good at in other areas, Brittany's good at. So we all kind of balance each other. So it's it's nice. It's nice.
What would you say one of Brittany's core values are?
She's very intelligent when it comes to training. We call her the Philly guru because
Wow.
she knows the Philadelphia market, the ins and outs. Philadelphia is its own animal, if you will. They're special. They're very different than any other county, the way they do things and handle things. So she knows the ins and outs of the city, and that's definitely one of her very strong points.
Now, all your kids work with you?
So yes and no. They all did at one point. My middle daughter took a different avenue, so she's not here. But yeah, everything is works. Everything works for a reason. Everything happens for a reason, and
What advice do you have to our listeners that um, they have interest in bringing their children into their business? They've got, teens that keep asking or upset, because we have a lot of listeners in that position. Hey, I want to be in the business. I want to be in the family business because they've been leading by example for years. How would you, yeah, well, how would you advise them to go about bringing the children into business?
the first thing I would have to say is know your boundaries, because it's very, very easy to cross your boundaries, cross your lines that, as a parent, there are things that you will permit with your children as your employees versus just an average employee. There's things that you will allow and put up with, that you probably shouldn't, if you go down that road. So I would say before you go down that road, make sure that you address those issues before they become issues.
Mm. What would you say is do you have a word for 2025? Or if you did, what would it be?
Grow, grow.
Why?
Because I don't think when you're in business, you should never stop growing,
Mm.
ever.
Amen. Yeah. What's it like now? How's the real estate side of things in your market? The real estate transaction, how's that?
From what
Is it
we,
busy? What's
yeah, from a perspective, for 2025, I think there's going to be a lot of growth. For what I'm seeing in January and the start of this first week of February, I'm seeing consistency, which is great because usually January and February it's the slow time, but this year's it's pretty good, I'd
Hmm.
say, so far.
How have you built your relationships with your realtor partners? What would you say is the most uh, effective, whether strategies or philosophy that you've leveraged to build those strong relationships?
Um, I'd say just being yourself and bringing value to the table, letting our clients who become our friends, letting them know that we want them to grow. We want them to excel in their business, and if we can be a part of helping them to be successful. I think that's been pretty much the standard of my thinking with many of my clients.
What are they looking for? Like, what are
Uh,
they looking for in their title partner?
Service. I think service is key, because anybody can do a job, but you know, I think what we bring to the table is a lot different than what a lot of other title companies are offering.
Like, what's an example?
So one of the things that is going to help us grow this year is we finished our basement. We have this building. We have a huge basement that is now going to be our area that we have meetings and seminars and functions and events. We applied for CE credit, accredited schooling, so we'll be able to offer to our partners, to our colleagues, and clients value, which is, offering them people coming in and educating them, and they'll be able to get their credits for it. But more importantly, I think just there's a lack of education when it comes to title. A lot of times people go to the table, they don't, like realtors and even, mortgage people too, they don't understand the breakdown of title. So we pride ourselves in educating. And this basement that we have, I think is really going to be beneficial to anyone that is able to utilize it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I am. Is it like, you know, how important is accessibility in the business?
What do you mean?
Like, uh, is it, you're getting called at 1 a.m. and there's a, like, is that a piece of it? Because some businesses are like that, some are not.
So when we started the Zoom, I said that the mortgage people are the ones that have it the toughest.
Okay.
Um, and that would fall in their category of getting those calls at 1 a.m. Maybe not 1, but maybe like 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. We don't typically experience that. Most times, we're in a little bit different of a predicament of pressure. Whereas, your mortgage person and your realtor, they're getting calls, they're fielding calls from their clients at 11 o'clock at night. We're fielding calls usually 9 to 5. However, being a business that's family owned and operated, that is one thing that we are always available to our clients. You can reach out to us at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and chances are you're going to get a response. So, we're always accessible. We're always available, weekends and whatnot.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm just what makes a strong title organization is the research and fulfillment aspect. But it must, I guess uh, it must be hard to break through some of the relationships then that people form over many years as they grow their real estate businesses. But now that we're in kind of this huge, culture shift, I mean, that must be a great, exciting opportunity to earn a lot of new business.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you
Um,
seeing that people are leaving is it because the statistics say that under 100,000 people in the mortgage side have renewed, something like that, versus close
yeah.
to 500,000. Are you feeling that in your market, like anecdotally? Oh, there's some people that were there, they're not, or you think that's just the saying, figures lie and liars figure.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the last that I heard about that particular issue, I don't know that all the I don't think the deadline was done yet. I don't know what it was that final, like that.
Everything on Facebook must be real. Right? Like it must be true.
I heard different stuff about that. I heard like, not everybody was put their stuff in yet, and there's a lot of people that are deadliners that will go on the 11th hour and fill out
Sure,
the
that makes sense.
so I know a lot of people that do that, including myself sometimes. So,
But what about the realtors? How are they doing? Are they, is because if there's isn't there less inventory and the prices have stuck? So if there's less inventory and the prices have stuck and people are moving less, then there's less volume. If there's less volume, there's less opportunity. So the relationships we have already are very important. And so like what are some lessons or ways that you've navigated that's working for you? And your culture that is it a buying opportunity? Some of these title companies, the competitors, like how's the industry adapting to? And you were in the business in 2000, didn't you have? Yeah, you had a title company in right after the Great Recession or just the recession, right? Did you?
yeah, it was 2008, and
That's
people
when you
said,
started, right?
yeah, people said you're crazy. And I was so excited to at least do a couple deals a month, you
So
know?
that's different than this,
Yeah.
but still like a time of I don't know. Are there any similarities? Uh,
Mm. I think the timing it was way different back then, you
what were
know?
you excited about that? Why were you excited when other people
I
weren't?
was ex I was excited because I was starting a title company and I was actually, doing my own thing and seeing the fruit of what I was doing. Um, and it was just me and at the time I had a partner. So it was just him and I and it was just I wasn't afraid. And over the years there have been times where I've been fearful or afraid, but you do it anyway. You keep pushing through,
What
you
did your
never let that
schedule look
stop you.
like?
What did my schedule look like then?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I put my nose to the grind. I just kept moving. And I didn't let the fear of failure stop me. Um, I would go to offices and bring donuts um, I wouldn't let anything stop me. And I think that has a lot to do with just, being successful. You don't allow the negative um, vibe of other people. Oh, you're not going to make it, and you know,
Oh
um,
my God, you remember what they used to say about me?
yeah.
God bless you and your family. We've been through so much. It's crazy.
I just,
So shameful.
I always said, like, don't look at your competition. Don't look at your competition. Don't look at anything. And sometimes it's hard because you do get off track and you do look sometimes, but you got to pull yourself back and just focus on, okay, I don't care what they're doing. I'm going to focus on what I'm doing and what I need to get to my goal. Um, and remembering that always brings you back to the reality of, how high do you want to go? The sky is the limit. And if you focus on the wrong things, you're not going to get to where you want to get to.
Mm. Yeah, what's worked for you to stay focused?
What's worked for me to stay focused? Coffee.
Amen.
uh, um, I think just having the right perspective and um, not giving up. And, your perception is your own reality. What you perceive, your mindset. I think in this last year, recognizing the ability to change your mindset, and not just with business, just with things in life too. Like, how bad do you want something? Well, then you got to change your mindset and you got to change the way you think about that thing. Take exercise, for instance. I've always exercised, I've always gone to the gym, but I wanted to get to a different level. How do you get to that level? How do you get to this level over here? Well, you got to change your mindset. You got to go to the gym 4 times a week instead of 2 or 3, right? That extra
Mm.
day or two is going to make a difference. But how do you get there? It's not by sleeping in. It's not by turning around hitting the alarm clock. No, you stay persistent and you keep going, right? And you don't
Mm.
stop.
What role, if any, anything, has your faith played in your company's success?
My faith has brought me through so much in my life, so much. I totally give all the credit and the glory to God, to Jesus, because without him, I don't know that I could have gotten through a lot of the things that I've gotten through in my life.
Wow, it's amazing. Um, hmm. Where are the opportunities right now in real estate in your estimation?
Hmm. Um, I think that you got to network, you got to get out there, you got to show your face. I think marketing, and I know you're um, a big person that you're someone that believes um, in social media greatly. I think just being in front of people, like one of the things that I'll attribute to you as well is the branding. I never realized, I mean, how long ago was it that we first met? That was a long time ago.
Yeah, 2017.
um, Before that, I really didn't value um, the marketing and the branding. I've come to a point where I understand it and I get it. I may not get every aspect of it, but I get the general gist of it and know that it definitely works. You have to be in people's faces. They have to see you. They have to recognize your brand and know who
Mm.
you are. Um, it's so important.
Where did this idea of the Rockstar family of closers come from? That's cool.
Yeah. So actually our clients, a few of our clients would just tell us, you guys are rock stars, you're this, you're that, and they would just make these comments. And we do have a number of joint ventures. So it's kind of hard when you have, like my main company that I own solely, Affinity Land Services. I have that. I have, ATG, Affinity 2. How do you group them all together um, so that you're recognized by one name? So that's why we coined the phrase of rockstar closers.
Mm. What's been the response?
People love it. People love it. We even got a song.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we created a song that we're gonna implement in some things.
that's culture.
Yeah,
You're gonna gather people. And we've had obviously Bill's been on so many times over the years. That's who introduced us.
yeah,
And we just had Mark Gatta back.
nice.
He gave me a blessing last year. I did three. I haven't spoken in a long time. Mistake. But he gave me the opportunity to talk at his office on Zoom, share
Oh,
his story a
nice,
little.
nice.
Yeah, and what he's accomplished over by you is very cool, exciting to see.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say is part of how you've been able to maintain long-term client relationships, right? Because culture is a consequence of customer service, I think. What's worked? How have you built and maintained long-standing customer relationships over all these years?
I think the clients knowing that they can call us at any time
Mm.
and knowing that regardless if we're doing their title work, they know that they can call us on listings and say, hey, Nicole, I have this issue. The title company's doing XYZ. Is there anything you can do to help? And we jump right in, and most times we know we're not going to be doing the title work, but we value our relationship with our client. So we want them to succeed and we want to help them to get their deal closed. So, we try to go that extra mile and I think that's what keeps people coming back and staying loyal to us.
Hmm. How do we miss the little things?
How do we miss what?
The little things that matter.
I think focus. Got to stay focused, you know?
Yeah. Are you as excited about 2025 as you were when you started in the Great Recession?
Yeah, yeah. I think this year is going to be I think it's going to be phenomenal. I think it's going to be great. And there's a lot to explore. There's a lot of, new things that we're doing. And I'm excited to see what the year brings.
How's the energy and the morale out there? Is
Well,
it
it depends
on a
on who you
high?
talk to.
Yeah, well,
You know?
I think Jim Rohn said there's only nine bad people in the world. They just move around a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like it honestly, it does it does matter who you talk to, because there's clients that are very optimistic and very positive. And then there's other clients that are, very gloom and doom. I think I froze.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I can hear you. Sorry.
um, yeah, I think it's perspective, it's mindset. If you think you're gonna have a good year, you're gonna have a good year, most likely, right?
Hmm. What activities are you doing and your team to increase the likelihood of growing with your current customer base and bringing in the right mindseted customers in the new year in the next, few quarters? Any
Yeah. Uh, Socializing, networking. Um, Again, we're gonna have a thing in the basement, our meeting area, uh, which I don't think I mentioned. And the name of it is called the Vault, the Rockstar Vault,
Oh,
because we're
cool.
kind of going with the Rockstar theme. So yeah, I think a lot of that in and of itself is gonna help get to
I
where
think
we're.
that's a huge value because if you gather your people, it's they're exchanging values, they're exchanging stories and experiences and wisdom
Yeah,
and getting positive energy to move and make things happen into the future. There's so many of the people in the real estate business that it's split, right? Some are almost waiting to take action for rates to go to what they once were. Others are just doing what you said earlier, not know, but how, like,
yeah,
and doing more business than than ever before in this new paradigm, a consumer paradigm.
right.
And I think it's amazing that you have the Rockstar team in the vault to gather your now. So how often is that going to happen, and who's invited, and how, like, what's your plan with that? And can our listeners go if they're, in the realtors in your area? You should put your address.
Yeah. Um, so I think ideally we would like to have something once a month. Um, that is our goal. We are going to have a grand opening party I think in April. We're gonna have a lot of cool things going on for our grand opening. And yeah, I think it's gonna be a great networking place. Um, so yeah.
Nicole, if there's one thing you'd say you would want yourself to have been thinking about, and in 2020, right? Like, let's say you had a minute to have a conversation with yourself in 2020. What do you think you would say to yourself, knowing what you know today, like what you've learned?
Oh, hmm. That's a great question. So 2020. Um, I mean, I can't say don't give up because I didn't give up. Um, I think in 2020, the family dynamic of business can be bumpy. sometimes. I think I would I think I would have done a few things a little differently when it came to the dynamics of family. Um, I think I would have set better boundaries, to enable growth, uh, better growth for some of my family. Um, I think sometimes you want to give your give your kids the world and protect them, and you know sometimes it's not always the best thing to do. You got to let them live their life and do their thing, and sometimes they fall, sometimes they get up. Um, and sometimes we as parents we try to protect them, and I think
Mm.
I would definitely tell myself, let them make their mistakes, let them do their thing, and don't stand in their way. Because while my intention has always and will always be,
So my intention has always been to give my children the best life that I could possibly give them, but sometimes in doing so, it's been to their detriment and to mine. So definitely the boundary is key in any family business. Um, so yeah, that's what I would tell myself.
Mm. Nicole, you're a rock star. This was amazing. I can't reiterate enough for our listeners the impact that you and your family have had on my journey as an advisor. Uh, Culture Matters becoming a business more than a young eccentric running around speaking at various places about culture mattering. Title, experience matters. I love that. And I challenge our listeners to connect and reach out to you to build a relationship. What's the fastest way and that they can get a hold of you, whether it's social media or communicate with your company, um, so they can have a rock star team in their life? What's the
Yeah.
best way?
So they can go to our website, it's rockstarclosers.com. They can shoot me an email. It's Nicole@rockstarclosers.com. Yeah.
Please, if you're listening to this, get in contact with Nicole. Go look out for my episode with Tom, who's just a wild man. I mean, like 7 years ago, he was in high school and he had me speaking at his school. It was like so many amazing things for this. That was an amazing experience and so many great memories. Please leave us a review on the Culture Matters podcast and share this with a friend that you know is in the business. And we will see you next time on the Culture Matters podcast. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jay.